Good evening. I'm John Stossel.
And I'm Elizabeth Vargas.
And this is 2020.
Plus, men on top, climbing higher, earning more, making women take to the streets. But are men holding women down? Or are women doing it to themselves?
Women don't want to work as long as men.
So why are women complaining?
I'm John Stossel, and I say, give me a break.
Those stories, tonight on 2020. 2020 continues. Once again, John Stossel.
Now, I'm going to risk getting emailed to death by irate viewers. We've all heard how women are paid less than men for the same work. 25% less, say many studies. And that's true, but is it for the same work? New research suggests it isn't. So to the activists who say, we need more laws to force employers to pay women more, I say, give me a break. Last month on Wage Equity Day, politicians demanded new laws to protect women.
Who cleans our hotel rooms and our motel rooms? Women.
We need to make sure that employers treat men and women equally in the workplace.
We've heard over and over that
Today, a woman makes 78.5 cents for every dollar earned by a man.
it's called the wage gap, and the activists say it's not about men working longer or harder. It's about sexism.
That no matter how hard women work, or whatever they achieve in terms of advancement in their own profession and degrees, they will not be compensated equitably.
Most people believe that. I was on the Tony Danza show this morning, and I asked the audience, in the same job, doing the same work, who will be paid more, a woman or a man? Even these adolescents believe it.
Man.
Wow, how unfair. But wait a second, does this even make sense? Suppose you were an employer, and you knew that you could hire women to do the same job for much less money. Wouldn't you hire only women? I asked Martha Burke, chairman of the National Council of Women's Organizations, about that. So if a woman does equal work for 25% less money, why would any employer ever hire a man?
Well, because they like to hire men, John. I mean, they like to hire people like themselves, and they darn sure like to promote people like themselves.
Burke wrote this book about power and discrimination, and she concludes what we've all heard.
Women make less, even if it's the exact same job title, and it is the exact same work, and the experience is comparable. There's still a feeling in this country, A, that men own the jobs, and B, that men are automatically better at jobs.
No, that's not true, says Warren Farrell.
The average full-time working male works 3 hours more per week than the average full-time working female.
Farrell spent about 15 years going over U.S. Census statistics and other studies and found that the wage gap exists not because of sexism, but because more men are willing to do certain kinds of jobs. He illustrates this when making speeches.
It's men over here and women over here.
He separates the men and women and then asks people to stand up based on more than 20 job choices.
Stand up if you work in a field that exposed you to the wind, the rain, and the snow for at least 2 years of your life. Stand up if you've done that. Stand up if you work more than 40 hours a week. If you work 50...
Again and again, more men stand.
Stand up if you have more than 20 years' experience. Commute more
These are all choices that bring higher pay.
14 men and about 4 women.
That's why men earn more, says Farrell's new book. Women make less because they want different jobs.
The women themselves say they're far more likely to care about flexibility. The men say I'm far more likely to care about money.
And what about the fact that almost all the biggest money makers, the company bosses, are men? Yes, there are some female CEOs making big bucks, but they are the exception. Isn't that discrimination?
We have been suckered into believing that because there are more men at the top than women at the top, that this is a result of discrimination against women. That's been the misconception. It's all about trade-offs. You earn more money, you usually sacrifice something at home.
If they aren't discriminating, why are they paying these million-dollar settlements?
Because they're afraid. They're afraid of getting publicity for a year saying that they're anti-female. So you settle.
Decades ago, Farrell was a man who, with Gloria Steinem, went to feminist protests. He's the only man to have been elected 3 times to the board of the National Organization for Women. You were one of these activists saying, how outrageous.
Yes, and I used to wear a 59-cent pin to protest the fact that men earned $1 for each 59 cents that women earned for the same work. And then I asked myself one day, if men are earning $1, maybe I'll go out and start an all-female firm, and I'll be able to produce products for 59 cents that male firms are producing for $1.
You'd get rich.
And I'd get rich. And I'd say, well, there's something wrong with the statistic here.
Farrell then combed through the jobs data and found that higher-paying jobs are more likely to require longer commuting times, safety risks, frequent travel, long hours, and other factors that on Farrell's test led the men to stand while the women sat. Those jobs pay more because fewer people want to do them. It's not sexism, it's simply supply and demand. In some jobs, financial analysts, for example, women make as much or more than men. But the activists still say America needs a new law, like the one they passed in Ontario, Canada, where every employer must rate every job to make sure women are paid fairly. The law's incredibly complicated. The Pay Equity Commission came out with this implementation checklist, which just goes on and on with complicated instructions. Sheldon Kaplan works for a Canadian company that sews and sells sofa cushions.
We went off, spent months, spent thousands, if not $10,000s of dollars to do a 3-cent adjustment that may not have even been necessary.
The sofa company's evaluations went on for 41 pages of hair-splitting guesstimates to try to comply with the bureaucratic rules. And while the law may have raised some women's wages, a broader study done by the Canadian Journal of Economics says the law has had no effect on wages in female jobs or on the wage gap. We don't need a law, says Kaplan. Any company that discriminates by sex or anything other than workability will have higher costs.
I hope my competitors discriminate. I want my competitors to discriminate because they will go out of business.
Why does the myth persist? Everywhere I hear women earn less.
It persists because nobody wants to confront it, because men who confront it become the bad guy.
So now you're the bad guy.
Yes, actually.
But he's just saying what makes sense.
Women and men look at their life, and women say, what do I need? Do I need more money, or do I need more time? And women are intelligent enough to say, I need more time. And so women lead balanced lives. Men should be learning from women.
But some politicians say we should import the bureaucratic mess Canada has? Give me a break.
Mostly women.